Okay, so first trade of the week. So SPY was quite nice, to be fair. Still rising like crazy, holding nine very well, and getting a bit extended towards the end of the week, but it's still very strong. So this is the time to be risk on and abuse the best opportunities. I had you. I think I was a little bit oversized here. Daily is very nice. I also love that it's a hot stock. Very nice. Could have had a bit longer consolidation. Not really the biggest fan of this fast tightening. But that being said, it was very nice. We had this pretty darn clean area of breakout, which we lined up to nicely with an ascending triangle. So very happy about the fact that both a downward trend line and a horizontal line coincided. We had a very nice three-bar play-ish setup for the break as well. Unfortunately, pre-market RVO was around 350%, so could have expected it not to go apeshit, but still it was very decent for a low RVO breakout. But maybe with that in mind, I would not have gone for 2R. I went for 2R because I like the larger time frame setup, and I think it was clean. I don't think 2R is a bad size here. Just maybe like 1.5, just to go in the middle, somewhere around there would have been better. That being said, perfectly fine with 2R as well. I don't think it's anything to really ponder over. I had a 3 to 1 up to here. I counted with a 6 to 1 up to I think this area, like 2388-ish, or something like that. But even 2280 with 3 to 1 is I think worth the 2Rs. I think Arvel flopped intraday for sure, but I'm not sure how much it was. If I wrote that down, I think 100% ish. But yeah, that being said, I think it's a very nice up. Daily taking it away with the tightening and the level here. Then I had Cypher. So very nice DTL here too, undercutting the fast MAs and bouncing from the 50, now making an ABCD, retesting the downward trend line and 90 MA. Very nice. We've got two ranges here. Unfortunately, we're coming out of the first one from quite low and breaking the second one with that one. Not so extraordinary volume. I think we had like 350%. Yes. So not bad, but not extraordinary. The level itself is very nice though, coinciding with fast touches 2. So I was definitely interested. 60 minutes, not overextended on the short term, but the shorter time frames definitely were. So I was a bit cautious here. I entered only 1 hour. I think the larger time frame setup was very nice, but the shorter time frames were not. So I expected maybe to get a stop out because we were, as I said, we were quite extended. We did have a nice ABCD here, retesting 9 and VWAP, but but yeah, not the nicest. So on a high of day break, which also built the meat of this range here, kinda I entered and risked this lift off candle as low. EPA was quite nice too. So luckily survived this. Although I could have maybe added on here, I didn't really like that at this point the volume died down. So definitely risky from that perspective. But it's still quite nice. And at this point, we've also cleared a bit more levels in the breakout area. Could have done it, but I think risking 1R on the entire setup here was enough. I'm not very mad at the fact that I missed out on some R's here, uh, while not adding risk to reward. Pretty dang similar to the first one. And I think it took a 50% partial around here, 2120, which was around this area, which is very nice. And then I swung it. I wanted to go for PBLs, but 60-minute was really freaking extended, no good pullbacks, and then it just fake broke. We had this initial peak high here, broke, couldn't really go forward, broke, couldn't really make any headway here either, and then just lost this level. So I was like, okay, that's it for me. And then I don't even think that it went any further. Yeah, so pretty good. Maybe a bit early exit, could have given it a bit more room, but I think it's fine given the circumstances. Then I had OSS. This is an opportunity I fumbled really, really bad. So not so hot of a stock, but definitely not bad. Would have liked a bit more tightness, but the DTL itself is very nice. We're also breaking out of this 10 area, which I'm loving. Very key nuance is that we have the highest volume ever, and we have, I think, what continues? Oh yeah, pretty damn good earnings. Also in a hard market, very nice daily setup. Didn't over gap, so I'm loving that as well. 60-minute starting to get a bit extended here, but definitely wouldn't say that it is extended. Arvel is like crazy good. Oh, highest volume ever, so no shit. Pre-market was a tad bit extended though. That's the thing that I didn't like. I would have liked a bit more consolidation here, maybe a bit more catch up with the MAs. But given how strong the stock is, I'm not sure how realistic that is, or maybe that would even make the setup worse in that there isn't as much momentum. But nevertheless, I tried a Hellfire Energy first here after the ABCD breakout. Didn't really like the short-term extension, didn't really like the setup, so I was like, okay, I'll give it half an hour. Here's the low of this structure. Got faked out and didn't re-enter, but this is the big mistake. We had a very nice reset, very nice touch back in with the MAs, and then broke out again, and that was the opportunity to smash it big. Should have done. I think I wrote easy 4 hours there, but uh, did I write that? Oh yeah, easy 4 hours. I'm not sure about four, but I think could have smashed it for sure. So entry here, stop loss here, below the wick. Would have wanted to be safe. I mean, highest volume ever. Fucking come on, easy end of day hold. Maybe even swing, but given how large this candle is, I don't think I would have wanted to swing that. So easy up there, and I entered half an hour here for the ABCD. Quite nice. I think half an hour is quite okay here, given the fact that we somewhat fake broke this high, which I think was all-time high. And I was like, okay, even though P8 is A plus, very nicely controlled pullback, touching 9 and immediately springing off. We did fake break and go back under. So half an hour is okay, given that, plus the short term, well, not overextension, but I mean, come on, 60 is like quite far at this point. And I don't know how it turned out. Yeah, next day we had a failed breakout of Y high, but then that's that. So yeah, the fumble list could have milled a lot more out of this setup. FTNT, very nice. Immediately, what catches my eye is that the gap is very fucking large. I think, yeah, 600 million for company, 600% Arvel. Yeah, the gap is poking my eye a bit. Not really planning on it for it to be a big runner, but a very nice large range breakout. And I know for a fact that we also were above these highs, like all of these highs when I entered the trade. So that's another extra on top of that. So I'm loving that very much. 6 minute, a bit too deep of a pullback. We do have a higher low, but would have allowed the longer consolidation. That being said, only the first consecutive candle extension here. Relatively okay tightening on 15, but nothing super crazy, and it's a bit too erratic for me. That being said, we do have a nice opportunity for a 5 minute 3 bar play setup here, and we just had an ABCD-ish thing, retesting this area plus 9 EMA. A bit too aggressive pullback, not really the biggest fan of the double top. I gave it 1 hour, and I think I gave it 1 hour because I had Open and Oscar on the same day, and these were shit trades for half an hour, and it was a bit of a revenge size. In hindsight, I would have given this half an hour. But yeah, I wanted it to go to 112.72. I think that was 2 to 1. So even the risk reward just wasn't really there. How far at best, for sure. Not really an outstanding op that I don't think deserves any more attention. Open and Oscar, not really proud of these ones. Like daily and weekly at this point, they're just way too deep. And we've, oh no, we haven't tried it. Yeah, I'm mixing it up with Cypher. but we haven't fully broken out of this yet, so definitely an early entry here. I got a good feel, but I entered some rounds here. Not not really something that I would push on. Arvel was bullshit, and on a beaten down stock like this that is not very hot, hasn't fully broken out yet, and Arvel is shit. Not even half an hour. Oscar, pretty much in no man's land. Yes, we had a long bar. Volume was okay, not extraordinary. 6-minute pin, that's the only like real nice thing that I can say about this setup. Otherwise, I think Arvel was also not crazy good. Just decided to give it like half an hour. Like, why not? But yet again, really not something I should have taken. DKNG gap out on earnings. 6-minute is the first consecutive candle extension. Bit too robotic pre-market, and that it's like way too. It couldn't really push above here. So these look nice, but they tend to get a lot of fake outs. That being said, earnings, daily level break. And yes, it's beaten down, but I figured that I could take it for a scalp. Put my stop here, wanted to get 27.50-ish. Didn't get it for half an hour. I think this was a perfectly fine trade. Nothing to write home about though. And then Rocket Lab. Okay, so very, very clean weekly with the first, second, third wave, and then a nice top out here, holding fast amaze from below, trying to lose all this, and then immediately reclaiming, retesting the range from above, retesting 9 also, setting a doji, and now shooting out. Pretty darn good weekly. I'd say it's an A setup, not an A plus. Would have loved a bit longer consolidation, maybe like one or two more candles, but it's pretty fucking close to an A plus setup. Daily, not really loving the fact that we closed at the bottom of this range, or how not really exact the range was here. But it definitely is nice, and I'm loving the fact that it's respecting this level so much. So we're gapping out of here, out of the range, not fully out of the level though. That happened right at the open. We broke this level on the 60-minute chart. 60-minute was quite okay, but it didn't have like extra support, which would have been nice. That being said, nice type ascending triangle-ish setup here. So very nice, and I'm loving the buy up at the open, although I'm not really liking the curvature on this and the acceleration on this drop here. Not nice, but overall with the buy up, it's a net positive. I think I'm in this part of the pre-market. I sized it 1 hour, accidentally got much more due to not hotkey error. I don't even know how I got like 2.5 hours out of this, but I think 2 hours for this setup would have been the right size for me. I held until 94.40. I think Arvel was around 500, 600%. Where did I write it? Oh yeah, it went from like 350 to 500 intraday over the first half hour, hour and a half, I don't know. And quite nice. Like everything is neat, but yet again, don't like how we're already so extended here from the gap from here. And I didn't really take it for a stock that would go to like 100 on 3 to 500% Arvel. Definitely not bad, and I could imagine it, but I'm pretty fine with the fact that I held to 95. That being said, Valkyrie did hold it until like, oh, is this not it? Oh yeah, this is it. He did hold it much longer, and I think he swung it, but I don't know. I don't know why. So yeah, these were the ops that I did take, and as for the ones that I didn't, CCOI, not really worth talking about. Circle did happen. Didn't like the 60s extension here. A bit of a floating 60 feel to me. Not bad. I just wouldn't really want to risk anything on it. Core weave, much better. This is something that I missed. Could have entered on the candle that broke out of the first 3 minutes very nicely. That also broke out a pre-market high. Nice little ABCD-ish thing here with a relatively nice area for a breakout. It is also quite nice, although not extraordinary. I think this is like a half an hour trade for sure. I think I got what 2 to 1 up until the $10 ATR mark, which was 130-ish. So could have gotten that. Not a bad opportunity, not great. Yet again, nothing to write home about. IREN, yeah, this did work, but did have a recent fake break. Now undercutting the MAs wouldn't, I don't know, did have a mini horizontal level coinciding with the downward trend line, but not something I would really want to take. Not the biggest fan of the larger time frames, and I'm not sure what the RFO was. Same amount of shit, yeah, so like 100 to 100%. Yeah, this is something that I'm not mad about skipping. MU, this is something I am mad about skipping. Very nice hot stock, memory names popping. And we did have a mini ABCD-ish thing, not the biggest pullback, but now we have a gap, a very clean level here to break out of. Very nice range. Buy up into the open, then a wick out. Notice how the last few minutes held the level exactly, and then we get a wick out and then a breakout. Very easy, very nice, tight risk. Easy peasy. And I don't know what the article was. Did I write that up somewhere? No, SPY was also rising, but yeah, pre-market was very nice with this. Well, it's quite at the top of everything, but a head and shoulders pattern, reverse head and shoulders pattern. I cannot find the article, but yeah, I'm guessing it wasn't that high. So probably would have targeted ATR or something, which would have been like 580-ish, somewhere on there. Since it's a nice stock hop, everything not really giving that much significance to an arbitrary number such as the ATR, so probably would have just ridden it here and then moved my stop from like a 20 trail to a 9 trail, which probably would have gotten me out somewhere around here instead of the marked exit. I think easy 2-war trade, given how nice everything was and how tight I could have gotten, how tight of a stop I could have gotten, and calculating RR with the ATR, could have gotten 20, about a 5 to 1 until the ATR. So probably a 6 or maybe even a 7 to 1 here. Very fucking nice, easy 2-war trade, and I'm really, really sad I missed it. It's just purely technical niceties. The OCN, don't like the fact that it's high and tight. It's nice. Don't really like the curvature here, and also don't really like the fact that this is like a very, very slight pullback. And daily's also been running for a bit, so not the biggest fan of this. This one I would have sized down on. Also, level is not the cleanest. Not bad, but not the cleanest. Health in R1R is what I'm thinking. I think we had, yeah, earnings. But given everything, I'm giving it more of like a half an hour setup, half an hour risk. Targeting here is a bit more risky. We do have 133.40, which we're breaking as well, which is very, very nice. But probably would have trailed something like the 20 here, which calculating with ATR $10 on 350 R volt, 1 to ATRs, I'm thinking max. Not especially with this extension. And by extension, I don't mean that it's extended. I mean the current state of extension, which is not super extended, but also not something that's not extended. So I'm thinking 1 to 8 years at best, calculating with $15, that's going to be 45. Entry would have been like 40, like 2 to 3 to 1. Yeah, this is a hellfire trade for me. AXTI, this is just something that made sense. 1 to 3 days extension, although getting slower here. Doji, not really outside of the previous days or the prior days range. And now a tiny, tiny gap up. We fake broken this level, set up a range, and we are now breaking down. Not bad. Could have entered on the reverse ABCD of PVC and VWAP, but not extraordinary either. What says they talk about this one, and Rocket Lab also talked about this one. So yeah, that was the week for me. I came out with 20 Rs. I'm a bit better at sizing up on the good ones. Also got lucky with this Rocket Lab accidental size up, but definitely missing or regretting missing out on the MUOP and also the OSS entry over here. So these were the biggest mistakes, quote unquote, as well as the Oscar and Open. Like, obviously, would not consider something that I took won or lost on a big, big mistake, but definitely something that I'd wish to cut down on.